All right, you guys, we're back and we're live. Welcome back to your daily live feed. As you're logging on, if you'd like to come work with me, suitsandposing.com is where you have to go. We do hair, makeup, suits and posing, all the fun stuff when it comes to competing. If you are on Instagram, that's great. Tonight there will be no screen sharing, so it's fine. We are also live on YouTube and Facebook. The majority of the comments and everything, you can see all of those when you go on to YouTube. So I do feel like YouTube is the best experience. If you're not on a YouTube channel yet, you can click on it in the link tree on our Instagram. That'll take you over there. Subscribe. That way you see our notifications pop up and you know when we're going live. We go live on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday every week. So, yes, say hi when you log on. What's up, Yolanda? What's up? Our Thursday nights have turned into program update nights. So basically what we do during these particular live feeds is we talk about prep and improvement season and questions that we have and just discuss what's going on with myself, but also what's going on with you. What's up, Brandon? Corey. I automatically know that when I see Brandon pop up that that's you, Corey. But yeah, we give everybody a few minutes to get logged on here. And I always tell people for this particular segment, the program update times, come with your questions, right? There's no stupid question here. We have a discussion. You know, I always preface these live feeds by saying I'm not a coach. I do posing. I don't do training and diet, but I've been in the industry for a very, very long time, since 2008. So I know a few things. I used to manage gyms before I did all of this. There you go. Yeah, that works. Yeah, I understand that for sure. So I know a few things, like anecdotally, that could help, but also when you ask questions on this particular live, we have people that are here on the live with us that are coaches, that are trainers, that can put their 2 cents in too. So we have a good little discussion going on. These have started to become one of my favorite evenings that we actually talk on here. So what's up? Welcome. Go to a few more minutes here and then we'll get started rolling forward. So while we're waiting, up here, there's my website. That's that QR code right there. That'll take you to SeansCoutureCuties.com right there. What's up, Jamaica? On my new website, you can sign up for posing. You can sign up for hair and makeup. You can sign up for our free suit webinar, or you can contact us about any of our services that we do. Yay, you finally made a live. Woohoo! I know a lot of you guys will watch them during your cardio in the morning, that kind of thing. Hey, whatever gets you through it, right? Whatever gets you through it. So, but it's nice to have you guys on live. This particular segment, the improvement season prep update stuff, I used to do it as a little vlog myself, but I felt like it was a little boring, to be honest with you. So I started doing it with you and just kind of asking questions and things like that. And it became a lot more fun. So I start off by kind of talking about what's going on with me. And as I'm talking, feel free to type in your own 2 cents. Like I said, ask questions, maybe talk about your own improvement or prep season, whatever you're going through right now. And then we can just kind of spur off on the discussion that way. So the reason why I titled this week's topic as when's the right time to make a change, because this was kind of inspired by one of our lives earlier this week when we were talking about changing training and things like that. And a lot of people around here saying that they never changed their training programs. I can't remember the last time we changed my training program. Social media star is in tonight. She is. Yes, Jamaica's here and live. Yep. So when it comes to bodybuilding, like we talked about this last week, it's just consistency over time. You know what I mean? But there are certain triggers and reasons why you should start changing certain things. If you're not seeing a response, then you got to do something different, right? Just doing the same thing over and over again, that's not going to do anything, right? If you're not seeing a response, if you're not seeing any changes, then you've got to do something to make a change happen, right? Or like certain things for me, for example, use myself as examples. We're going into this, right? This whole last week, I have been starving. Like, I feel like I want to eat my arm all week. I don't know why. I'm not usually like that. I do get hungry sometimes throughout the day. I think that's kind of normal, even when you're in off season. A lot of times when you're in off season, improvement season, A lot of times during improvement season, you're just trying to get your food in, you're just trying to get it in. I felt that way probably last year. This year, I haven't felt that way. This year, I felt like just give me more food. That's kind of how I feel all the time. But this past week was like next level. I am hungry all the time. So, we usually work in 8-week blocks to a deload week, but generally pick back up doing all the same movements. I have to have a lot of rest. My body just blows up. Rest is important. Absolutely. Yep. Rest is absolutely important for sure. And if your intensity, that's the other thing too. If your training intensity is really high, taking rest is very, very important too. Some people just don't have very high training intensity in general, and then they can just go forever because they don't really train that hard anyway. So it does depend on the body, that kind of thing too. And you got to understand that, right? So yeah, I think my metabolism is going crazy right now because this whole last week, my coach last week gave me a macro bump, which meant she bumped my food up last week, and I dropped weight this week. So, and nothing else changed as far as like my cardio is the same. I'm doing 15 minutes of cardio 3 times a week. My steps are 5,000 steps a day. And then I train 6 days a week. So I take 1 day of training rest, 3 glutes, 1 shoulders, 1 back and biceps, and 1 chest and triceps. So, yeah. So nothing changed as far as my training was concerned. Last week I did get more food. Then my check-in this week, I dropped weight. So, and I told my coach, I said, I am starving, like all the time starving. I need food all the time. All the time, food. Like even as I'm sitting right here right now, and she bumped my macros up again today, even as I'm sitting here right now, I'm like, I can't wait till this live feed is over with because I need more food. And I'm not usually that person. Like I'm usually okay. Like I'm good. Like I said, I'll get a little bit hungry in between meals, that kind of thing. But it's not like one of these things where I obsess about, I need to get my next meal, I need to get my next meal, I need to get my next meal, right? The last week, I have been obsessing about food. So I don't know if it's just my body just going crazy or what it is, because again, my body is responding, right? I'm dropping, like when I look at my photos from this week versus last week, I'm tighter this week than I was last week. So I'm burning, right? My muscle is growing and my fat is burning. Like that's what's going on. So everything's going in the right direction and stuff like that too. But the reason why I mentioned this also with the change aspect is I said all of this to my coach this morning, and I just said, I'm just starving all the time. She's like, well, then we got to bump your macros up and see what happens here too. So she gave me a significant increase for me. And when I say significant, I mean, it's like 100 calories. Like, usually when she does a macro bump, it's little teeny tiny macro bumps, like 5, 10, 15 grams, that kind of thing as we go up. But this one was more. Just so that I have more food. So yeah. And Jared commented on it last week. He sent me a message last week about me being tighter last week. And I am tighter this week too. So you just have to kind of watch, like this doesn't, again, I'm not doing anything different, right? I'm doing everything the same. My training is the same. My cardio is the same. So nothing is different, but for some reason my body needs more food. Right. So whether it's just using my food more, I don't know. I don't really know. So this is what I mean by pay attention to the little things, pay attention to the little triggers and stuff like that. So when you need to implement some kind of change into your programming, right? Like Corey was just saying, she puts a deload week in there because she needs to rest. She knows that about her body starts blowing up. She understands her body needs rest. You need to pay attention to those little triggers to put that piece of change in there so that you don't backslide, right? So again, for me, I pay attention to everything. I pay attention to my rest. My rest was terrible this week too. That's another thing as well, which usually for me, if I don't sleep well, then I hold on to weight usually. So that doesn't make sense either. Because I didn't sleep well all week. But whatever. So this morning, if I can't sleep and I get to the point where I've had like 3 or 4 nights where I've had really bad sleep, then I'll do like an edible or something like that so I can sleep. I did that last night. I woke up this morning and I didn't even know where I was. I was like, where? I woke up and I looked around. I'm like, where the am I? Like, where? Literally didn't know where I was. And that thing stayed with me for like, I don't think it really wore off until after my workout. I don't think it wore off till after my workout. I was still like buzzing for the thing. I was like, man, because I haven't actually done an edible in a long time. So my sleep's been okay, right? My sleep just sucked this past week. So I was like, I need to get some deep sleep. You know what I mean? Oh my God, the whole morning, I was just like, where am I? But anyway, right? Oh my God. But see, and I love edibles too for that reason. However, they're very hard to dose. I do have a vape and everything too that I'll use sometimes. I haven't used that in a while either. I've been actually doing really well with my sleep where I haven't needed to put anything else in there. So that's been good. The last couple of weeks have suffered a little bit. So I went to Vegas, right? I know. So the problem that I have with edibles is twofold. First thing is that once it's in your system, it just has to run its course. So if you take too much, then you're screwed. You know what I mean? You just have to let it run its course. So there's that. And then also I find that some edibles do actually mess with my digestion too and make me constipated and all of those fun things like that. So I don't like to do it very often if I do. But I always have them at the house in case I need to be able to sleep. Because I don't like taking medication. I don't like taking prescription stuff. I would much rather go the more natural route, you know, and yeah, you have to just ride it out. So here's a funny story. I know this is completely off topic, but this is why we have these conversations, right? So whenever I fly out early in the morning, I have a really hard time getting sleep the night before. So a couple of times I've done this and it's actually worked out so well. I'll take an edible when I go to sleep at night and I have to be up at like 4 to go to in the morning to go to the airport or something. So I'll still be feeling that when I go through the airport, and it makes the airport experience so much better. Because it's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, oh, long security line? It's no big deal. No big deal. I don't care. Like, nothing bothers me at all. I'm like, I'm just going to do this from now on. Like, it just is what it is. Yeah, just enough of that little THC buzz where nothing bothers you at all. I'm like, cool. So yeah, nothing. I'm good. And then by the time I get to my destination, it's worn off and I'm good to go. So it's actually worked out really well when I've done that in the past. So, but again, you still have to be careful about that kind of stuff. Because again, if you take too much, you'll probably sleep through your alarm and sleep through your flight and all that stuff too. So, you know, there's always a happy medium. I don't even remember where this part of this conversation was going. I was talking to you about sleep and now I'm talking about edibles and vaping and all this stuff. But anyway, so point is, and just so you guys know too, I don't know if you know this or not, because Corey just mentioned this, but marijuana is legal here in Virginia. Like, it's legal. You can't do it like in public places, but you can consume it in your home recreationally. So like the edibles that I get are from the supplement store, right here in Manassas. What is it called? Manassas Corner or whatever it is. And they're made here in Virginia. So, I mean, literally, you don't have to go to Vegas for that. It's legal here in Virginia. You're good. So, again, you just can't do it on public property. You can do it at your own home. So, just as an FYI, just so you know. Again, I completely forgot what my topic was now. But anyway, so I got some good sleep last night. Yeah, I know. That's the whole thing. Like, the good thing about you know, me being here is that Dan's here, so he can wake me up and I won't sleep through my alarm. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So we're all friends here. I know, right? So yeah. So my point being, going all the way back, is you need to pay attention to all of the triggers that are going on in your body, you know. And another thing too, like, pay attention to your steps. This is something that I was not doing until the last few weeks. I was not paying attention to my step count. And Jamie asked for it in one of my check-ins, and retitled alive, you know, how to sleep with edibles, right? That's too funny. This is why I love this topic, because we just go down these random roads. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, and I've lost my train of thought again. I don't remember what I was saying. Something about, I said steps. Yes. I was talking about steps. So she asked for my step count a couple weeks ago. I just hadn't been keeping track, and she just assumed I was doing like 10,000 steps a day, and I was not even close. I'm at like 5,000, and so I've been paying attention to that now. And that's the other thing too. So if you start dropping weight, start looking at all the little things, right? Maybe your step count went up. Maybe you're doing more activity throughout the day. Maybe you're doing extra work somewhere throughout the day. Maybe you're not sleeping as much, so your body's burning more. All of those things could be reasons why you're dropping weight, or reasons why you're gaining too. Like if you're not getting enough rest, like, Corey was just saying there, when I don't get enough rest, I retain weight, right? I retain weight when I don't get good sleep. So that's why for me, like, sleep is very, very important. And that's why we got on the topic of edibles. I go down that route when I haven't had good sleep for like 2 or 3 nights in a row, that kind of thing. Right. So there's that. So pay attention to those things so that you know when you and your coach should be talking about changes to your program. That was the whole point of that. That was the whole point of that whole rant, is to talk about changes to your programming, whether it be your exercise, your cardio, your training, your diet, whatever it is. Those little things that you do throughout the day, every day, could be what you need to change or pay attention to in order to make other changes, right? So on my end, like I said, all of my things were in line as far as my training intensity, all those kinds of things. So that was telling me, and also my look, like when I see my photos, my photos look like I am getting leaner. Jared pointed it out last week. I noticed it this week. So I do look like I'm getting leaner, which means I need more food, right? I'm not trying to cut right now. I'm trying to build. So if I'm trying to build right now, I need more food. I don't want to be getting leaner. So anyway, so that's why I got more food put into my system, or my diet plan. Yes, there. Anyway, and also it changes on your posing. Okay. So my posing was different this week as well. Because when I turned in my pictures last week, Jamie mentioned that she thought my glute was sloping a little bit in one of my photos. So she asked me to start playing with the toe, playing with the position of that front pose. And I started doing that, and it did help. So there's that. And then also my transition pose, I was kind of blowing through my transition because I know when I hit my transition, my rib cage pops, and I didn't want my rib cage to pop. So, but with doing that, it made it look a little undone. So she was like, try to find something else there. Okay, well, I can try to hit the pose a little bit more straight on, because for me and my body shape and my body frame, that will work. So as soon as I did that, she's like, yeah, that's much better. It's really flattering on your frame. Just hit it like an actual pose there, which I wasn't doing before. So there's that. And then with the front pose, guys, this is why posing all the time is so important. Because I did change it, and I did push my toe a little bit more forward on a diagonal, and it changed the entire feel of the entire pose. And I'll get it, and I'll get it consistently, but I'm not right now because I just changed it this past week. And I'm telling you, just taking the toe from going like this to like this changed the entire feel from the ground up. For those of you guys that work with me on posing, you know that I tell you everything starts from the feet and goes all the way up, right? So as soon as I move that toe, now all of a sudden I got to twist my waistline more, and I got to open my upper body more, and I got to push my hip more, and all these things that I wasn't doing before. Now, when I actually do get into the position, it's an easier position for me to hold than what I was doing before, but it's hard for me to get into that position because I've programmed the muscle memory for me to hit the other one, right? So the reason why I say all of this is do these changes now, right? I am in improvement season right now. I can work on these changes all day, right? I can work on these changes all the time. I've got plenty of time to work on these changes. So not a big deal. If I was doing this the week of my show, I'd be stressed the fuck out. I would be stressed the fuck out if I was doing this the week of my show, right? I want to make sure that my poses are right there, ready to go when I go to get into prep. Because at that point, then all we're doing is just little hip movements and things like that. And those things we can do. We can adjust as the body leans out, all of those kinds of things. But the actual form of the pose, I want to have that ingrained in my body now, right? I'm okay with making the changes now. And like I said, it'll take me time. It's going to take me time to get this to actually feel like I'm in the right spot, because I've programmed that other placing so much more. Not the week of, correct. Right. Not the week of. But it just feels doesn't feel as fluid and doesn't feel as polished and doesn't feel as comfortable as what I felt like just 2 weeks ago when I was doing a different routine, right? So that's why changing all this stuff up the last couple of weeks going into a show is not a good idea. It's just not a good idea. I had a coach in the past who was notorious for this. He would change girls' poses right before they walk on stage, legitimately while they're standing backstage. It used to drive me crazy because he worked with a lot of my clients. He's no longer in the industry. He's gone. He's not in the industry anymore. And it used to fuck them up so royally when they would go walk on stage because then they didn't know what they were doing because he literally changed their poses backstage. You cannot do that. At that point, when you go on stage, you're not going to do anything right, right? So just so you guys know, myself as a posing coach, I want you to have your poses solid when you're 2 weeks out, like to the point where we're not going to change anything at that point. At that point, we're just making sure that everything is hitting where it's supposed to hit. Everything is hitting where it's supposed to hit, okay? That's all those last couple of weeks are for. I'm not changing your poses at that point. I'm not changing your routine at that point because all it's going to do is screw with you up here, right? Great example. I don't know if she's on here tonight or not, but Karen and I have worked together for years, right? Years and years and years and years. She still, if we haven't posed for a while, will revert back to old muscle memory, which we have to unlearn. And then simple little things, like I mentioned to her this for her show this past weekend, she just won the 16 over at the Charlotte Cup. She had her hair got wet. Her wig got wet, which threw off the curves or threw off the curls on her hair, which threw off her whole presence just because her hair got wet. And then that threw off all of her poses and all of her walking and everything like that. She just because of that one little thing, right? Just because of that one little thing. So these are the things that we have to pay attention to stay consistent. That is not the time to be making changes, right? When you're a couple weeks out from the show, just ride it in. Whatever you're doing, just ride it in. When the show's over with, then you can go back and assess and you can make changes. Now, when you're in improvement season or when you're getting into prep, that's when those changes should be happening, right? That's when you should be adjusting based on how your body is feeling, looking, all of the things. That's when you should be changing, right? Anybody ever had a horror story of when you had something just completely changed on you? The week of the show, the day of the show, maybe? Any horror stories? This is also a time frame where you can ask questions too. Feel free. I can tell you though, that scenario I was just talking about where that particular coach would change everybody's routines and stuff the day of the show. Screwed everybody up, man. Screwed everybody. Don't ever do that. The one thing that I do with you guys is if you're one of my posing coach or posing clients is I'll have you do a couple different routines, like especially if you're a pro, I'll have you do a short routine and a long routine. So that way you're comfortable with both of them. So you can pull one out of your back pocket if you need to when you go on stage. But in general, I'm not going to give you something completely brand new the week of. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Because it's not going to do you any good. At that point, your muscle memory is set. It's not going anywhere. And if I tell you to do something different, you're just going to screw the whole thing up anyway. So just is what it is. Make sure that you are solid in what you were doing going into the last couple of months of your prep. So with that, any questions you guys had about your own season that you got going on right now, prep, off season, whatever it may be, where's your strategies at? I'm really happy with my density right now going forward and all of that. I am not trying to lean out. That's why I said, that's why I'm happy I got more food, all of that. The horror is going back post show and watching footage and wondering, what did I just do? Yeah. Yep. Not remembering what you did on stage, that kind of thing. That is the horror story right there. Yep. Give yourself some time to work changes in. Don't just throw it at yourself last minute, right? But yeah, so, you guys have seen with me previewing all these pro shows, they're getting harder and harder as we go along, right? They're getting harder and harder as we go along. So It's just going to get more difficult. So you got to be on point, ready to go. The last thing you want to do is throw changes in at the very end where you are going to screw everything up. Right? So with that, I'm at like, I don't know, over 2,400 calories now, 280 carbs. I think it's 185 grams of protein and like 70 grams of fat, something along that line. I don't even know. Practiced an awesome routine for nationals. When it came to it, I went back to my old faithful basic routine. Muscle memory took over. Yep. Muscle memory always takes over. Sure does. I don't have a horror story, but I remember my first show, we just started working together and adjusting my previous routine. Our last and second call, I was panicking and said, please don't change anything. Yep. Yeah, there's anything. Yeah, good. Good. Yep. You just do what you practiced. Your muscle memory is what's going to show up anyway. You know, regardless of what I tell you to do, your muscle memory is what's going to show up. So I can tell you till I'm blue in the face to do a certain type of pose, but if you're not practicing it that way and you're not posing it that way, then your muscle memory is going to show up. Whatever you did practice is going to show up, or whatever you didn't practice is going to show up, right? Caught a cramp in my calf on stage at a competition. If it wasn't for practicing like crazy, I would have hit the floor. I've had that happen during my posing practice. That happened to Boyana on stage, Wasatch Warrior last year. She got a cramp in her calf and she hit the floor. I remember that. I was watching the live stream when it happened. I've never seen that actually happen to a pro before. It did. It happened to her. But yeah, I've had that happen to me during practice. Yep. If you get really dehydrated or, you know, that kind of thing, your muscles seize up, all of that. So what else? Anything else you guys wanted to chime in with? So making us feel comfortable and confident. So no matter what, you never let us feel anything less than ready and confident. Yeah. And that's it, you guys. So when it comes to confidence, that is 100% it when you're on stage. If you're one of my clients, you know this. I tell you all the time. I was like, I don't care what you do, as long as you go out there and hit it like you're meant to do it. Hit it with confidence. It makes a huge, huge difference. If you've never gone and watched a show, go watch a show and look at the girls that look confident when they're on stage versus the ones that don't. It is a very big difference and very noticeable difference. Yep. That's what I want more than anything for you guys is confidence. And confidence comes from being sure about what you're doing and not making changes last minute and not making those stupid movements last minute. Just do what you practiced. Absolutely. Yep. All right, guys. So yeah, the only thing that changed for me this week is I got more food. Training stayed the same. I mean, my diet will basically stay the same. I just have some more of it. Whenever I get a macro bump, it's not like my diet changes. I just get more food, you know. Cardio is the same. Just to say your physique is looking crazy good, especially for improvement season. I've really enjoyed watching you recomp your body these last 3 years. Thank you. Yeah, I'm finally starting to see the things that I've wanted to see for so long. You know, that's one of the things too. I'm like, I kind of don't want to even cut because I love the way that my body looks right now. Like, I love how full and round and muscular it looks right now. I'm like, a big part of me is like, can I just stay right here and like not ever cut again? That's what I feel like right now. So had a diet break last week and less cardio made me so hungry too. Yeah. I got a baby bump this week too. Thanks, Coach Jared. There you go. Baby bump. Love it. And that's the thing too. When I talk macro bumps, they're teeny tiny. They're teeny tiny little macro bumps. But that's how you avoid going crazy. You know, you avoid blowing up, you avoid losing your conditioning and all those kinds of things. And your body just starts using it. And then you can bump it up more, right? So you bump it up over time. Yep. So with that, Okay, this weekend is a show weekend for Girl Power. I will be home, but I have lots of clients. If you want to come work with me, then this website right here, StrongStoreKitties.com, that is my QR code right there. On that website, you can sign up for our suit webinar. You can contact us if you need a suit. You can contact us for hair and makeup. You can get to our Spotify and everything on there as well. You can get to our posing packages on there. Everything is right there on that website. You scan that and go. That's StrongStoreKitties.com. If you are interested in our webinar for next week, it is suitsandposing.com. Yeah, I knew what you meant, Jennifer, but yes, it sounded like baby bump. I understood what you meant, though. Good. I'm glad that's the next thing with signing up for your posing sessions. Get those in. Thank you for the compliments. Appreciate it. Yes, my glutes are getting much, much better. Yes, thank you. All that hard work, finally, man, it's starting to pay off. Finally. What else? Oh, so our next show is Pittsburgh Pro. Then we are at New York. So if you need hair and makeup, I will be there for that. What else? We'll be back on live again on Tuesday. Like always, we'll be back on Tuesday. I got to look at dates for May's Sundays with Sean. That's the next thing. So we'll probably announce those on Tuesday. I think that's it. I think that's everything. So with that, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend doing whatever you're doing. If you're going to a show or if you're competing, good luck. Have fun. And then we will see you back here on Tuesday live. Same time, same place. And we will wrap up whatever the results are from Girl Power. That should be a good show, right? Should be a good show. All right. Have a fantastic weekend. I'm going to log off of Instagram first. Come work with me at suitsandposing.com, StrongStoreKitties.com, right there. When this goes back up, make sure that you comment on it and like it and everything too. Cool. All right. Good night, you guys.